Oh yeah.
Isn't that
I said
beautiful?
his mom can take care of it. He can't go to Maine.
No,
Right,
can't take
right.
that with you. You'll be
Fortunately.
getting trouble on the Amtrak.
Right.
Well, anyway, did you want to? Now, Roy sent us a couple amazing dreams, but there's a ton to talk about on those two dreams. Um, Family dreams, that families often have dreams that are related. Siblings have dreams that are related. Cities have dreams that are related. Countries have dreams that are related. I mean, and so when you're living with someone and you have a dream that is so similar, it's just kind of fun to compare them, and unless Charles, did you ever get your other dream typed up or not?
I have the one typed up of the underwater control room.
Yeah, why don't you?
I
Maybe we can.
just sent that to you on email a
Oh,
couple
sure.
minutes ago.
Yeah, all
I
right.
think it should be there by now, I hope.
Yeah, let me look at it here. But we definitely want to do Roy's because it was.
There's Don.
Yeah, Dawn is here too. Yes, so she got to see his hamster, which is, a very important figure. I mean, it
Oh,
really
I
just
had a
seeing that kind of, it is sort of a cathartic experience, and I'm not kidding. It has a resonance with me. Anyway,
I
you
had
know.
another hamster dream just last night.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what was that? What was it about?
Oh, he kept falling out of my hands into like gaps in the floor, and then he fell in one really bad spot, and I had to go down to the level under, like go down to the floor beneath where we were, and to see if I could like try to get him up through the ceiling. And he like fell down and hit my shoulder and fell into my hand, and I thought that he was like possibly very injured, and so I just burst into tears because I thought he was
Yeah.
in really bad shape after falling from the.
Well, don't you think it's really a she? I'm not sure,
It,
but
actually, literally speaking, I think my hamster actually might be female.
Well, I'm
Because I
just
was
thinking that it's has to do with the instinctive anima, and that's why I'm so interested in Adelaide's dream too. Let's finish your dream, and then we'll get to Adelaide and Roy's dream. But anyway, so we're just starting on it. Let's just go through it. Spend a few minutes on it. Okay, so we're in an underwater control room. So we're in the unconscious, in a point where there is it's in the unconscious, and it's at a point where there is it's at a center of consciousness, a part of the unconscious that is an autonomous center. I think that's what the control center means. That literally would usually mean the self, the control center of the unconscious, but it is a tubular or like a cylinder, and there are button screens and displays everywhere. It's pretty high tech. So it's very sophisticated and is covers a lot of it's very diverse, and it's very rich, and then there's a door we're trying to get through. Okay, so the ego needs to leave this underwater place. Now remember that you're a person who has been looking for earth and water to some extent, and you're looking for a way up out of the water here, and you're with the growing thing and with the anima who seems to be in charge, you know, and one of the children is a young girl with large glasses. So that is a very symbolic figure too. I think the girl with large glasses, she has you know, her vision is emphasized. There's something about her vision that is emphasized here. So it's the growing feminine aspect of ourselves whose vision is emphasized, and is the anima who's leading us up, you know. Now, the ego is in the unconscious right now. And I think what it's trying to do is to get to the surface, you know, the surface ego. It's this, somehow the dream ego is trapped in the unconscious. And she's having trouble getting us through the door. It won't open. Well, why won't it open? Usually it's because the conscious attitude is too closed to it. So the underwater contents can't get up because the conscious attitude has no door open to it. So there is no way for the unconscious contents to go up. You know, she's talking to someone and trying to get help opening the door. She says something like she forgot how to do an image transfer. Well, that is just an amazing statement. You know, it has something to do with the anima has forgotten how to create the image that will allow the dream ego to be, I mean, not the dream ego, but the conscious attitude to be permeable. The way for the unconscious contents to become permeable to ego is for there to be an image sent to ego that opens him up, you know, and allows the unconscious contents access to consciousness, you know. And at some point a contraption was set off, produced a flame that was pointed at a canister on the wall. So there's some aspect here that also has to do with the feeling function. Caused quite a panic because it exploded. We might all die since it was in a very enclosed space. We had to grab something. Now, wasn't it that the young aspect thought that this would help? Wasn't it? There was something about.
I think the kids like threw this contraption together to just try to blast through the wall.
Yeah, they thought that they could blast through the let's say the apathetic, unconcerned, la-di-da attitude could be forced open with the feeling function. Now, this usually is what opens it up. You know, what opens us up to the to that realm is the is a traumatic event of feeling. I mean, one way to get into the unconscious really is to experience great sorrow. You know, and hi Tim, we're just discussing Tim's, or I mean Charles' dream, kind of trying to finish it here. Let me see if I can put it in the chat again. Okay. So anyway, you know, that's something very interesting that Aniela Yaffe said one time. She said that the way to the depths and the way to wholeness is almost always through grief and suffering, never through joy. You know, she says joy is too momentary and it doesn't last long enough. And it isn't really reach us in the depths. It reaches us more on the surface area, where grief and sorrow goes very deep and it lasts and it doesn't go away, you know, where joy has this more momentary aspect to it. So the idea of the fire opening up the door or, you know, allowing. See, the problem here is there's no access between consciousness and the depths. The anima's trying everything she can do to open it up, can't do it. She says the way to do it is she forgot, and that is through an image, you know. Now, so there's two ways of contacting consciousness, so that is communication between the depths and consciousness. One way is through images, but the anima has forgotten how to do it. And the other way is through feeling function. But the growing thing inside, if the feeling function comes from inside, there seems to be a great danger. Now we could discuss that. Which way should feeling come? Should it come from above, down below? Usually experiencing ego experiencing some great loss that that disturbs its position of being the king, you know, with no problems and on top of the world. Well, let's pull the rug out from under it and see how it does then. You know, I mean, sort of like what God did with Job, and, you know, in his bet with the devil. Let's pull the rug out from under him and see how he does. And it was amazing how resilient he was, you know. But anyway, the issue in the dream is that there's no communication between consciousness and the depths. And how do we establish it? And there's two theories given. One is by the anima. It's through image transfer, through transferring an image from below to above, and then the ego sees it, is it experiences a numinous moment which opens it up to the timeless realm, you know. And so it's no longer trapped in a prisoner in time and space. See, right now the timeless realm is the prisoner, because the conscious attitude is so apathetic and unconcerned about its agony there being not coming up to the consciousness. So now I'm just saying that I think the fire thing has to do with the feeling has to come from ego's loss. It can't come from within. And if it does, you know, it's very dangerous. Everyone, it could just, there's an aspect, if it comes from the feeling function, the warmth of the feeling function represented by fire or redness comes from below, there's, that's not going to work. It's very dangerous. And then the idea that suddenly, but the ego, the conscious attitude, suddenly we have the voice from the conscious attitude. This is all a movie and we'll all be fine. You know, now I think, I don't know how much the ego in the submarine is just observing these events, when its real place, it's actually up here, sort of in a coma, you know. What do you think, Roy?
Yeah, I like all the stuff you said. In a dream, it says, Charles says, it seems like the women and children were in charge. Women and children were in charge. You know, where's Charles? Where's the masculine principle? And then it's like a tubular thing. It's like a bubble, and it's surrounded by the unconscious. Thank goodness they can't get the door open. Imagine what would happen surrounded by the unconscious like that. He'd come flooding in that door. And Charles just, you know, he's not participating in this thing. It's kind of, you know, in a way, it's kind of like a crisis.
Yeah, it is. How do we get through to our somehow just contented, you know, self, and real and let it, well, you know, like mine says, and I was really experiencing grief and loss at this time, says, we are trying to, God is trying to stir you in every way that you can be stirred, you know. And, you know, in other words, this is very urgent, you know, and that then, you know, that there's not much time left, and the anima starts to move the clock hand to the top of the hour. What do you think, Roy? You know, I mean, Tim, this is your analysand. What are you going to tell them?
Well, I don't know if I have any insights. I'm just trying to think of a ritual or some way of honoring the dream that would let the dreamer know that you're taking it seriously. I can't really, off the top of my head, think of anything, but that's where I'd go with it, is try to think of some way of carrying on the conversation by actualizing part of the dream.
Yes, making it, giving it gravity, giving it weight, making it real in the outer world, and participating somehow, you know, in the event. You know, one way of doing it really would be to I'm just saying, I'm like you, Tim. I'm not sure how to do it, but just to enact the idea of being trapped in the submarine and not being able to let out. And let's say that we know that the way is that someone up above gets the message, you know, that we're here and we're trapped. That just reminds me of a dream I had. Let's see if I can find this dream really quickly here that I had, which just seems to be exactly what you're saying, Tim. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. It is like, yeah, right here, this one.
Because I agree with Roy, you don't want to just open up the door, and you certainly don't want to apply fire to the cylinder. The
No,
only thing
because
I
it,
think of is you might want to think about how you can actualize that image or make the image more available, but nothing else comes to mind.
yeah, I mean, I think actualizing any dream, to me, either actualizing it or drawing it in a picture is a way to make to give a emotional connection with it. How do we establish an emotion? I mean, what the children are saying is that the feeling function is the uniting force. Eros is the uniting force. The flame of Eros is how consciousness and the depths unite. You know, now this was, and this would be a good for this dream. You know, there are people held captive by an old woman who is keeping them in a dungeon under the ground. And all I have to do, all my conscious attitude has to do is tell her they're real and they'll be released. That's all that has to do. But will I ever do it? You know, isn't quite that simple. You know,
It's very reminiscent of the fairy tale about the witch that holds the children. And
yes.
I can't
How does it go?
remember well, I can't remember how they hold out a bone as a finger, and she opens the door and they push her in the oven. I can't remember.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the idea is how, I guess, how do we how do we get ego to wake up to the fact that its soul is real and its soul is alive? I mean, this is a problem for all of us, really, It's a great problem. And you know, like I say, in some of my active imaginations, you know, I'm asking myself, what in the hell am I doing here? And you know, I mean, this just you know, it seems because it's not you know, it's very hard to impress ego. You can have a just a stunning vision and just take it for granted. You know, that's not real. I mean, yeah, I mean, it happened and it was absolutely, completely stunning. And yet, is ego consciousness impressed? Not really, you know. I mean, this is absolutely happens all the time. I mean, I've had the most amazing things happen to me, and yet I seem so blasé about it. I wanted to show this one other picture here. This was now here was I'm in a room below ground, you know, and I'm sleeping, and I'm sleeping with all these different animals, you know, but I'm very unconcerned. I don't really care. I think it's a movie, you know, like Charles does. Charles Dream Ego thinks it's a movie, and the and this feminine figure is discussing everything with the animals, like the children in history in Charles Dream, and leaving me out of it. You know, there's things happening in the unconscious, and I'm just so bored. I can't even be bothered to be woken up about by it. So, I mean, this seems like one of those type of dreams that there's um, that the unconscious is just absolutely flabbergasted at how much we take it for granted or ignore it. It can send us the most startling images. For instance, Charles, I'm just saying, who is composing these amazing, dramatic stories that you have every night? Who's doing that? You know, and not you. And it keeps sending them over and over again. And I mean, how many times do we got to get hit on the head till we? Now, I think that the best advice so far has been what Tim said. How do we ritualize and enact this in the outer world so that um, there's an emotional connection with it? What do you think, Roy, about all of this? About the apathy, the how do we waken up and to that this is serious and urgent?
God, I don't know. Charles just got me perplexed. I knew a guy like that about Charles's age when I was in my 30s, and he never took anything serious. And a lot of people got in trouble and all kind of things that were in our peer group and stuff. Nothing ever happened to this guy. He was so happy-go-lucky, uh, and always kind of chuckling. I don't know. Those people are like very mysterious to me. I worry more about stuff, and I like have a super ego. It's like these people don't have a super ego. They don't even know what it is. You know, I don't know. It's a great mystery to me. I've met one or two people like that.
Well, you know, I actually think that Charles, and you tell me that you do take it seriously, and it does have an impact on you. But the problem is acting upon the knowledge. You know, I mean, that's what von Franz says, that all these puers that she said totally understood the situation. They realized the urgency of it. They understood every word she said about what was necessary to do, and they agreed that that was the proper course. But then when they came next week, they had taken no action whatsoever. And it
They
wasn't
just put it in a
Yeah,
box or it goes up in the air, you know.
yeah.
That's not taking it serious. It might be understanding it, but it's not taking it serious.
And
yeah.
the issue, yeah, go ahead, Charles.
I was gonna say, you know, I'm looking at the, you know, end phrase that this is a movie, it'll end and we'll be fine. I guess I'm looking at it, it's just slightly different, or I just have an idea about it. You know, there are movies that I dearly love and that I do take seriously. But I think what it implies is a movie is something, you know, it can move you, it can stir you, it can cause deep affect, but you don't partake in it.
Your observer.
Exactly. It's just
Not a
something that you watch and it happens and like you don't have any role in it. It's not that I don't take things seriously. It's like sometimes I'm just like, well, the psyche's just gonna kind of it'll figure things out. Like it doesn't really need me. Like
You need to
it'll
take root somewhere. You know, I mean, you need to give gravity and earth, basically. I think. Now, I'm not talking about you personally, Charles. I'm talking about the dream ego and the way to wholeness. You know, I think that what Jung said that is what happens is our seed gets planted in some particularly thick area of the air, and it never really gets roots in the earth. So I'm still thinking that let's say that and the idea here is not to be an observer but to be a participant. And how do we be a participant? I think I think in this case, I don't think that drawing is enough. Drawing and think. I think what it is Tim is suggesting is the real thing, is to go ahead, Charles.
I was going to say, I think this dream points, well, you know, I like to imagine if I could go back to the dream and like be fully conscious and like, what would I do? And, you know, I think obviously that dream points to like, I should have just been like, all right, I'll get up off my ass and start to figure out how the hell to get through this door. Because, and just for clarification purposes, that door, it wasn't like the ocean on the other side of the door. It was almost like what we were in. It makes me think of like if you were to take the International Space Station and like submerge it underwater. Like it was just another chamber on the other side of the door. And we were just stuck in this little room inside of this big craft. And I should have just taken the initiative and be like, all right, you know, instead of just sitting there idly by while these kids cook up some explosive, you know, and I'm just reacting to it. I'm not telling them like, yeah, you might not want to do that. You know, let's not blow everything up. And I'm not helping the girl with whoever she's talking to over the phone, you know, and I'm not trying to figure anything out. I'm not trying to do anything. The only action I took was out of sheer necessity not to get blown up and die. I should have just done something.
I think dreaming. Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Maybe there's the key that what you need to do is sit down in an active imagination with a piece of paper and just sit there until the image comes to you that will open the door.
Dreaming the dream on, they call it.
Yeah, and just being open to whatever that image is, because that's the key. And it's not going to come over the phone. So somehow you've got to unlock that aspect of it.
And keep at it until you get it open. And then what is on the other side of the door, you know? And at least then where you are right now, you're trapped in a dead end. You know, if you go into the next place, there are at least you're getting closer to some kind of permeability. You're not stuck in this dead end aspect. Roy, do you have any concluding thoughts on the dream? Or
well, maybe Charles interpreted it. He's imagining if he was aware in the dream, he would have got involved and okay, let me see if I can help these people, you know, alleviate this situation, this drama. And maybe it's like this dream is telling him, like, well, do you do that in real life? Or is there drama going on in your real life that other people are going through things and you're not participating? I mean, you're just there passive. Maybe it relates to real life. I don't know, but I like what you said about the dream. If you were aware, and what would you do in the dream?
Yeah. So, Charles, do you have any concluding thoughts about it? I mean, this obviously is a very important dream, I think, because it's really stating the problem.
Yeah, yeah. I think I don't know. I think it's a very interesting dream with very good imagery, and I think the fact that the woman says, you know, she forgot how to do an image transfer is like, I think that's a like a, you know,
That's a lightning bolt.
jewel or a golden nugget of dream content right there. I thought that was really incredible. But I think it really points to one of the themes in my dreams of just kind of apathy and not really being active in doing anything and not taking a problem solving.
Just observing it.
approach.
Just
Right,
observing the dreams. I mean, are given such wonderful gifts in these dreams, and you remember they come from the same place that created your body, that created all of life, and that loves you and wants you to. It has a great purpose for you. There's no mistaking that it has a great purpose for you, and it wants you to participate. And remember that it isn't she forgot how to create images. She forgot how to create the image transfer. You know, how I don't know how to get this to Charles. I've forgotten because it doesn't happen.
I almost you know, for what it's worth, it almost makes me think if she forgot how to take, you know, just speaking theoretically and metaphorically, it's almost like she may have forgot how to take an image and move it to the outside in a way. It's almost like I don't see anything out in the world that I put an important image on that makes me go forth into the outer world. You know, it like I'm not projecting any kind of numinous stuff on anything in the world, but that, I don't know, that's just something that popped into my head.
Well, and the word image, imagination, and everything means literally, it comes from the root not of a picture, but of magnifying consciousness with a nonverbal symbol. You know, so imagination means to expand consciousness, and what it's expanding is that the ego in the outer world is becoming aware of the inner world. You know, and so now its consciousness is expanding. You know, so anyway, it is. I think the now that, like, I think the one thing is that you're not taking it. It isn't that you're not taking it seriously. That what we need is willpower, and I'm hoping that moving out of a stinky apartment in St. Louis to Acadia is going to and not being able to escape there. We can't just call in sick, you know. Everybody's going to know where we are, come and knock on our door. That we're going to have to develop better habits than the ones we had in St. Louis. And it is going to start forming willfulness, ability to take action in a better way than up till now. You know, so I think that is going to be very helpful no matter what else happens. You know, do you or Roy or Tim have anything to say about that aspect of not being able to take action, and how maybe going to the Acadia might help? What do you think, Roy?
Well, yeah, you know, Jung talks about synchronicity, and he was really good at it in all, like von Franz and in that circle. You know, they saw things in the real world, I mean, it's something you got to want to do. And Charles says it's like, well, you know, the psyche's in charge. The psyche's not in charge. We have free will. It's trying to befriend us, but it does it in a very quiet way, in a very different way than the world does. You know, it's not trying to be aggressive and noisy and trick us, uh, sell us something. It's very subtle. It's something you have to discover by yourself and say, hey, man, this is real. You know, let me see it in the real world. It's got to be reflected in the real world. It's got to be connected, just like I talked to Tim about. Yeah, real people aren't real people. They're extension of the psyche. You know, this is happening in real people. You have to develop the sight. I call it the sight, to see it. And then the real world comes alive. I mean, it's miraculous stuff. It's really incredible. I don't know how to teach it or get people to get to that place, but I'm telling you, it's real. It's worth being curious about and exploring.
Yeah, we've got a problem that all of us don't have a very good reality function. And we have to remember the inner world is the most real part of us. What do you think, Tim?
Well, I would just reiterate that what Roy just said, that looking at the outer life with this kind of memory of the dream would open up the possibility that all of a sudden you realize, oh, this situation reminds me of that dream. And that gives you the opportunity to say, okay, this time I'm going to lend my conscious attitude to rectify the situation, or somehow get involved so that it becomes real in the outer world.
Yeah, it is a idea of reality function. You know, I want to just let's go to Tim's dream, but I just want to mention that the two dreams that preceded it. One was the photo shoot dream, you know, where we were going to go out with a studio woman. This very mysterious, dark-haired woman comes in, and then her husband comes in, and then at the portico, there are all these images hanging from the ceiling on strings, and also a wedding veil. Now, isn't that beautiful? This wedding veil is hanging in the portico entrance to the place where the this union is going to take place. This so-called photo shoot, again, which applies, I think, to images. But I also, then following that was the dream entering without breaking. And now that wasn't that the one that just directly preceded entering without breaking?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. You seem to be in a town that is very friendly, but I don't know if I have it in. Oh, I seem to be in a town which is very friendly, although it's not my own. Apparently, night after night, I've been wandering through the town and simply entering people's houses and walking through, as if taking a shortcut through simply entering people's houses, um, and walking. Well, sometimes I stand outside to listen to conversations or TV shows, and I'm astonished at my behavior and wondering, why am I taking such risks? At one point, I wandered through someone's house. A dog comes up and licks my hand. The only one that's seen us so far is the instinctive animal. And we realize how close we are, but again, we escape without incident. So we're somewhat unseen. After leaving one house at dawn, we're walking along the road, and the occupants outside are talking loudly to the neighbors, and we're sure it's about me. But so then we walk through a field, and again, it becomes very muddy. This reminds me of the courtyard in the dream with your house that became filled with water. You know, there's an aspect that the unconscious is has a is affecting our standpoint and our way of ambulating the earth. You know, now you realize you have to go back by the house again, um, because you can't. It's keeping. It's not. It says no. You can't escape this. You have to face it. Okay. Now those were the two dreams that preceded this next dream, which was just almost ethereal. You know. Which is, did you want to just tell the dream one more time, Tim? I put it in the chat, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in a big European city with my female partner, and we jump on the bus to go downtown for a particular reason. I get off one stop early, she continues on, and I have to walk up to the next where I meet up with her. And then we go across this square and into a building that is like a library with a lot of books and people milling around. There's a kind of kiosk where you check out the books. And after wandering around inside, I meet up with her and she says excitedly that she thinks we might be able to live there in what turns out to be an apartment in that building starting next March.
And now this is, it sounds a little, blasé, but it's just absolutely ringing. First, even the title, library apartment, an apartment in the place of wisdom. Okay. And we're in a big European city, a place far from where the current conscious attitude is. And we're there with the feminine, and we're partners, Now we're going to go towards the city center. And we get on the way to get to the city center, and we stop off one stop away from the very, very center. And then we walk to the next. There we meet our the feminine aspect, the anima there. And now we go into a square. So we're going into the four-sided center of a mandala, and it is like a library. It's a kind of this wisdom place where you can borrow its wisdom. And after wandering about, you meet up with her, and she says with excitement, and with energy evoking words, okay, words that evoke energy, that she thinks we may be able to live here. Okay, we can reside here. Now, even just if our dreams can reside here, or some aspect of us has a residence here, even though we maybe live over in Helena, we also have another residence here. Now, this is just so beautiful, and that we may be able to live there in what turns out to be an apartment in this square of with that contains the library of wisdom, starting next March, starting at the point where all things grow, the springtime of growth. Now it will be very busy. In other words, it's going to take a lot of our attention, and it's going to be full of events. It's going to be event filled. But what a great opportunity! What a great adventure! But opportunity, I think, is a better word. An opportunity for growth. In springtime, in the center of the place far from ego, with the anima. Now compare this to the two previous dreams. What do you think, Roy?
Yeah, I'm sticking with, the conjunctio dream. Yeah, you can marry her. We can have a wedding if you want. And then he's going into these strangers' houses. He's welcome. It's fine. There's nothing wrong. And then he's with this female partner, and they're going to share this great place, a library, a place of knowledge. And sure, it might be noisy and busy, but that's what life is. When you're in life, it's noisy and busy. It just all fits together to me. It's like really growth and progress.
The shifting center of gravity of the thematic emphasis in this dream series. Look at how the center of gravity is shifted. What do you think, Charles?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I look at it as that, as opportunity, or well, I mean, I guess how dreams say is like, you're already kind of there, or like on your way of, yeah, living from somewhere that is much closer to the center point of the psyche, and that it's a whole new beginning, and there's going to be a lot of energy. I think that's what the kind of, that it's going to be like there's like a lot of traffic and busyness. I see it as there's just going to be a lot of energy, and you're going to be living from internally living from a place where there's a lot more psychic energy passing back and forth from where you stand. And, that might result in a little bit of, I would almost say like interference, kind of like static noise, or like the equivalent of that, might be a little bit noisy psychically. And there might be a lot of almost too many insights and images and things coming up. But I think maybe the library indicates that you're going to be operating from a standpoint of you being able to convert psychic energy into words more easily, because there's an abundance of literature. So it might be a little bit more logos oriented. But I just think that it's really positive because it just points to just a new beginning, much closer to the center. So it's like literally a move. So I would say it's a really good move into like the right direction. I mean, it's like, it seems like it indicates that something's really on track there. That's going to the right spot. So yeah.
Well, the four-sided figure represents the feminine. We're with the feminine there. We're going to take up residence in the four-sided figure, which represents the feminine. Male is three-sided. Feminine is four-sided. And it's complete, where men needs to miss one leg to achieve differentiation. Otherwise, the feminine, the four of wholeness is less differentiated. The differentiation starts when we can separate ourselves from the fourness, So now we're in the feminine realm, and the dreams up until this point have been somewhat disorienting. They did not seem to have a orientating center. And now we know where it is. We went to it, and we're going to take up residence there. Now, I'm just saying, up until this time, I've been a little bit lost about what the meaning of all of these dreams are, because they seem to be, we can go to the house where the 4 women are. No, you can't. You know, we can go to the midnight rehearsal of the anima. No, you can't. You know, we can go unite with the woman by the who lives by the river. No, we're going to take her prisoner and put her in this patriarchal container for the feminine. We're going to contain the feminine. Then we have the dream about the photo shoot of a wedding. Okay. Then we have the dream of almost what I think we were in is we were like the invisible man walking around the center of this place and looking at it, you know, and the one who greets us is, I mean, it seemed to me that this led somewhere, and now suddenly we take a bus one stop short of the center, and then we get out and walk to it. What do you think, Tim? I mean, it's just now we need to know what the next dream is, because we might have a regression. But what do you think?
Well, actually, I had another dream this morning. I had a hard time kind of getting my head around it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one central image that I found really positive, and that is that there's this young girl, Asian girl, like a teenager, and I feel attracted to her, but she's way too young to be my partner. But still, it's some sort of undeveloped or innocent anima figure. And she offers me this drink, which is a kind of a bulbous glass. I did a little sketch of it here. The glass with these kind of made out of these bulbs, and it's got a very colorful liquid in it that looks way too sugary to me, and she offers it to me, and I say, no, I'm not interested in that. So she drinks almost the whole thing, and there's just almost nothing but bubbles at the end. And then I take a taste of it, but there's not enough left to get any real taste of it. But anyway, that makes me think, okay, here's the first image where the two of us have actually done something together. And she's offered me something, and like an idiot, I say, no, I don't want that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it follows this idea of the permanent residence, and she is offering you pretty much the water of life, I would say. She's offering you, she is the young nymph, you know, like the water pixie, or she's the siren or something, you know. She's this young, the youthful feminine. Now, the youthful feminine is the one that is capable of you know, is just starting on the journey, you know, and the freshness and the newness of it. It's all new, you know, and she's offering you the water of life. I mean, that's a wonderful follow on to the dream. I wonder if you could put that in the text, and we'll talk about that next time. We might want to talk. First of all, let's just summarize Tim's dream. And then I just wanted to introduce Roy and Adelaide's dream. But Roy, do you have any sum up of this dream? Just some final thoughts?
No, I'm sticking with my story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. All right. That was the that it was could you just restate it?
Well, it's like a conjunctio. He's connecting with the anima. If he wants to, he's welcome. You know, he has to take the initiative, just like Charles has to take the initiative. We have to take the initiative. You know, the unconscious isn't interested in our passivity. It wants us to take initiative. That's when something starts happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it is. It's going to be interesting, Tim, because, you know, there is no such thing as the gates of heaven opening to us. I mean, because we always got to get up the next day, you know, And yet this dream seems to at least be aspirational. At least it is giving us a glimpse of the final goal. And it's just, to me, it's just absolutely, I feel like I'm walking into, when Jung said that he was going to go into that rock and he would find the answer to all questions, or everything all that was going to be answered to him. I mean, I feel like there's a little bit of that feeling here, that this is the place of the central wisdom. There's no doubt about it, and the anima is offering us permanent residence there. See, now it isn't her house, it's someone else's house. It's the house of the one who contains all wisdom. And yet the anima, the bridge to that place, is offering us the opportunity of permanent residence there. So it's an invitation by the transformational anima. Remember Erich Neumann's diagram. It's an invitation by the transformational anima to take up permanent residence in her home. I mean, and she's very excited, because she was born the same time we were born. Her life is our life. Our life is her life. And she has spent all of our willful ego's history trying to get us to this point, and here we're sort of getting a taste of it, and coming after some of these more troublesome dreams, it's just very evocative, Well, anyway, Tim, I think if you could give us either next time or even with the dream that you just had about the drink of the anima, let's discuss that. But why don't we first at least get on this, because I think it's going to be really fun. There's so much to talk about in this dream. There are two dreams, really, of that Adelaide and Roy had last night. Let's see if I can get it in there. Okay. Yeah, it all went in. Okay. All right. So did you want to introduce the dream, Roy?
I can read it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. When Adelaide woke up, she told me a dream. She was marching in a military march along a canal. She had a dog on a leash, a white poodle. The leash was tangled and the dog got over in the canal and was swimming. Adelaide said she wasn't worried and had things under control. I said, well, that's interesting, Adelaide, because I had a dream with a dog and a leash. And then I go on and I say, in my dream, I was supposed to cover this boat with a canvas. The boat was on a beach and Cliff lived on it. Cliff is a bocce ball friend of mine who was the mayor of Christmas Tree Island in the harbor in Key West. He lives on a houseboat. Okay, Cliff didn't want me to cover the boat yet. He was busy with something. So I'm just on standby to finish my task that I wanted to do, cover the boat. So there's this long leash hanging off the boat. A dachshund, dachshund, grabs the leash in his teeth and starts pulling the boat towards the water. I went to stop the dog because he was disturbing the captain, Cliff. The dog let go of the leash and went swimming in the water. He was having a great time diving and swimming in the clear, shallow water.
Yeah, well, first of all, what's interesting is family dreams. There are such a thing. Von Franz said that she would analyze several members of the same family, and their dreams seemed on the same night. It was as if it was a communal dream a little bit. There was an aspect of that everybody was having something on similar themes, and then, she said Well, there's also neighborhood dreams. There's city dreams. There's nation dreams. You know, but this is a family dream. Okay, so it's very interesting that they would be both about dogs on leashes. Now, let's just talk about Adelaide's dream first, because it shows a very interesting relationship with the animus here. Okay, she is marching in a military march along not a river, not a lake, not a pond, not the ocean, but a canal. Okay, what is a canal? Okay, a canal is a channel that is formed by logos, you know, by the differentiating mind has figured a way to channel the unconscious. So she's marching along a flow of the unconscious that has been formed by her animus. So I'm just thinking that she has a very developed relationship with the animus. I'm not sure, but that was the first thing that came to my mind. And she's also in sort of a military march. So it is. When do you march in a military fashion? There's some aspect you don't. If you're marching in military fashion, that means everyone in the army, makes the same steps at the same time. I mean, if you ever watch a flock of Canadian geese, they fly in V formation. But look at a flock of pelicans sometimes. They also fly in a V formation, but their wing beats are all exactly in tune. So there's this aspect of being in harmony with some aspect, possibly of the logos or the collective. I'm not sure, but it is a way of walking that is in harmony with something. And I'm thinking here, it's in harmony with some masculine aspect in her psyche, and then she has a dog on a leash. Okay, this is also very animus related. Okay, the instinctive aspect of ourself is on a short leash. Okay, and it's not only on a short leash, but it is white. It is the color of spirit, and it is a poodle, so it is, poodles are related to water. We have a poodle, and every time it sees a puddle, it just lies down in the puddle and just, luxuriates in it, no matter how muddy it is, and so their instinct that's related to the unconscious, even though they're a very conscious animal, an animal that is closely related to consciousness, unlike the wolf, because it's a very domesticated animal, and yet it's one that's related to the water. Okay, and so the whiteness indicates it's more related to the spirit than it is to the earth. So it also seems to be like an animus animal. And then the leash was tangled, and the dog is swimming in the canal now. Now this all is just so amazing to me. The canal, the marching, the dog, the white dog on the leash that's a poodle, and so then now she says that he's swimming in the water. So Ego is walking along the canal with its white dog on the leash, but the dog is swimming in the water, not walking beside her. But what does she say? She says that she's not worried and had things under control. In other words, there's balance. There's some type of a balance here, you know, and it doesn't feel out of balance to the dream ego. It feels in balance. Walking along the canal, the dog is swimming in the water, not walking with us, you know, and this seems to be an imbalanced situation. And she's walking in a way that's in harmony with the animus. Oh, it's a masculine walk, you know. That's not a feminine walk. The marching. Okay, so then now we got done with that. Why don't we just talk about that dream first, and then let's get into Roy's dream. What do you think, Roy?
Well, yeah, it's real Adelaide. I mean, she has discipline. She has a lot of discipline, and she has a lot of masculine aspects. She
In harmony with the masculine.
Yes, in harmony. She seems to. Her animus dreams are just really good. She has a good relationship with the animus, and like you said, she's not worried. Things are under control. You know, she liked to dream. She didn't have a problem coordinating the dog and the march.
Mm-hmm. Even though it's swimming, it's a poodle is a that's why poodles have that funny hair. They're never wet. You can drop a poodle in the water and take it out and feel its fur, and it's still dry. You know, it doesn't soak. What do you think, Tim?
Well, I don't know anything about Adelaide, but man, I'm impressed. I think she's really on top of things. I can't see any conflict in this dream. The only thing that appears to be out of order is the leash is tangled. Okay, so what?
That's the irrational component. It's always got to be there somewhere.
Yeah, and she's not worried, so there's no issue. It's like, man, I want to be in that world.
What's beautiful about it too is the canal. Have you ever heard of a dream of at least outside of Holland or Venice of canals? You know, that's the first for me. Someone who had a dream about a canal, you know, as a body of water. What do you think, Charles?
I think, I mean, you made quite a few points that I would have not come up with. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you covered it pretty good. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it other than I want to know why the this animal or representation of the instincts as it might be, like, you know, why it's jumping in the water. And is it like instincts receding into the unconscious or what? But yeah, I think you made a lot of really good points about it, Craig.
Well, I think the second dream, the real striking parallel is not so much the dog on a leash, but the dog in the water. You know, it's the fact that both dogs went into the water and seemed to thrive there. You know, so why don't we, Roy? Why don't we'll go on to the next part of your dream? Again, this is a dream that is has so many analogous aspects. Do you think, Roy, that these dreams were almost dreams simultaneously, or at least on the same night?
Oh yeah, they could have been simultaneously in the same hour. They could have been. You know, we were passed out, so we weren't looking at the clock. But you know, they had to be very close. It was the same night, of course. The 4th, 4/4/2021.
Exactly. Okay, well, in this dream, we're supposed to cover a boat with a canvas. So it's this idea of this vessel of the unconscious needs some that travels on the surface of the unconscious, and because it contains consciousness, needs some protection from nature, from the unbridled non-ego. In other words, it needs to, in order to have a space for ego to, exist, it needs to be sheltered somehow from a little bit from the unbridled nature, unbridled non-ego. Now the boat is on a beach, and Cliff lived on it. And Cliff is a friend who was the mayor of Christmas Tree Island. That's interesting, in the harbor of Key West. How many people live there?
Probably in that harbor, there's probably about 70 people living on boats in that area.
Okay, so Christmas Tree Island is just a bunch of houseboats?
No, it's a little island off the harbor in Key West.
Okay. All
You
right.
have Tank Island, which the Navy built, and a developer bought it and built condos on it. And right beside that island, Tank Island, is called Christmas Tree Island because it's covered with these Australian pines that look like Christmas trees.
Okay.
And a real big shot attorney owns it, and a lot of other land on Stock Island, and he just lets it go wild, and like homeless people live on it, and he's got it tied up, and he can't do anything with it. And so it's sort of headquarters for these houseboat people that have boats anchored around it, and some of them live on the island too.
And he's considered the mayor of the houseboats.
And it's just all anarchy. And this guy is amazing. He's homeless in a way. He lives on a houseboat, but he's really, really smart. He's always reading books. He doesn't have to be there. He could be a CEO if he wanted to. Why he chose that, I don't know, that life like that. And that responsibility with all that anarchy, I don't know, he's quite a character.
Mm-hmm. Well, living on a place with the rocking of the waves it sounds very just.
It's on the edge of the unconscious, no doubt about it.
Yes, I know. It's just beautiful. So he seems to be an inner companion, not a shadow figure.
Maybe so.
Really. Yeah. And he is, he owns this boat and is, which right now is just on the beach. So it's off the, not on the ocean, but he owns it. And so now the inner companion doesn't want us to cover the boat yet. So we're being a little premature in covering it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really just closing it off. You know, this vessel that is going, could go sailing on the unconscious. The ego thinks, well, let's just close it off. And the inner companion says, no, we're not ready yet. I mean, in other words, there's a few things we need to do before we close it off. Don't close, it's too soon to close it off. Okay, so it's not the appropriate time. Now there was a long leash hanging off the boat. A dachshund grabs the leash in his teeth and pulls the boat towards water. So the dachshund is kind of agreeing with Cliff, you know, that this boat should not be closed off from the unconscious. Now, so even though Cliff lives on it and owns it, it seems to sort of represent something in you, Roy. I mean, this boat.
I'm almost like a crew member or something. I don't know what's going on. I'm just way down at the bottom. I mean, the dachshund's got more rank than I do.
Well, yeah, you're trying to close it off, and you know, just it's just going to be put in storage or something. But the inner figure and this instinctive figure said, no, we're using this baby. You know, we're not going to put it in storage. We've got a lot of things to do with the unconscious yet. And if you put this in storage, we're not going to be able to do any of those things. So now it tries to pull it towards the water. And now a dachshund is an interesting animal. It is, again, like the poodle, it is a instinctive aspect now that has adapted some of the cultural aspects of the human being. In other words, it's an instinctive, it's very instinctive, and yet it lives somewhat in harmony with ego consciousness, and yet it is definitely is much closer to nature, almost completely has very deep connections with nature. And the dachshund, with its very short legs, is a animal that hunts things under the earth. You know, it's a badger dog. You know, it goes after either badgers or gophers. You know, go get that gopher. You know, and it'll go under into the burrow and pull the whatever out, and it's then available for whatever you wanted to do with it, either skin it or eat it. You know, so they're hunting dogs, but they hunt in burrows. You know, and now ego stops the dog because it was disturbing the captain. In other words, where Roy is disturbing the captain by putting the boat in storage, the dachshund is disturbing the captain by, let's just put it in sea before we're ready. So one wants to go to sea, the other one wants to put it in storage, and this inner figure is saying that we're not ready for either of those yet, you know. So anyway, so then the because we did that, the dog lets go the leash, and like Adelaide's poodle, goes swimming in the water in the unconscious where it wanted the boat to go in the first place. In other words, it was like my dogs that want to go for a walk, you know, they grab the leash and run outside with it, you know. I mean, they want to go, here's where we need to go. And here's what you think is so important. Let's go. I'm going to take it with me, you know. So they're sort of this leading edge into this aspect, and it's swimming in the water and having a thriving there. And it's the clarity. It is as great clarity, this water near the unconscious. You can see far down in it. You can see things far below, and they're far away from consciousness, but there's clarity here. So now this is the dream simultaneous with Adelaide's dream of walking by the canal in a animus-like fashion with the white spirit dog on a leash, who through the irrational forces is now swimming in the water beside her, not walking with her. And yet there's nothing wrong here. This is all as it should be, you know, which is what the dream ego is thinking. Okay, so simultaneously with this dream is the boat that's halfway between storage and going out on the high seas, you know. And so it's sort of this wizard-like man is around it. And on the one side, ego wants to say you know, we don't need this boat to go off on the high seas. And the wizard says, no, we do. We don't want to, at least we don't want to shut it off. And then the instinctive aspects is we need to go out on the high seas. So it is establishing a point, a midpoint between the unconscious world, this wizard world, and the world of ego consciousness, where the unconsciousness is stifled and shut off. You know, so it's sort of at the midpoint between this unconscious being cut off and just pure unbridled participation in the unconscious. So it's an interesting juxtaposition of dreams. What do you think, Tim?
Well, one thing that really pokes out at me is the image of the leash, which is a way to control the dog. And here the dog is reversing the leash and is using it to pull the boat into the water. And so I'm trying to think, okay, the instincts have this connection to the aware ego, but that connection works both ways. And so here's a chance to have the instincts take control. And I don't know what it means that the boat doesn't make it to the water, but obviously the dog made it to the water and he's having a great time.
The
So
dog's taking us for a walk, not we
Yeah.
taking it for a walk,
Right.
you know, and it's taking us in our boat for a walk. Yeah, that's wonderful, Tim. What do you think, Charles?
Well, it's a really cool dream, that's for sure. And the fact that you and Adelaide had these dreams at the same time is pretty wild. Yeah, I don't know exactly what I would say about this dream. I think you did a really good job of it, Craig. But I just find it really interesting that both the dogs want to go into the water, and that maybe it's just maybe it just is an example of that instinctively Adelaide and Roy are just, people that like to explore the unconscious. But the dogs seem very, very happy and kind of eager to get out there in the water. I don't really know what else I would really say. It's I don't know. I think this dream has a lot of magical quality to it.
It is got so much to think about. You know, I don't know what to say about some of these images, but they're very beautiful. Roy, do you have any concluding thoughts about it, or?
Well, I think the dreams have a lot about our personalities. I mean, I feel like that's kind of Adelaide's personality in her dream. And then in my dream, it's very different. It's like I'm in the middle of something. You know, I'm in the middle of two worlds. I'm not the captain, the logos, but I'm watching the captain. You know, I'm watching the way he moves, you know, for instructions. And I'm not really with the instincts. You know, I don't have them on a leash. They're free. And I'm watching them. You know, I'm watching them and I'm watching the captain. I'm kind of in the middle. And in a way, that's how I kind of lead my life. And people might not see it because it's covered. I'm covering the boat. It's covered. You don't see it, but it's all exposed in this dream. You can see the dynamics.
Yeah,
it fits my personality.
It does. I mean, whenever Roy, you send a dream, I'm always very curious about the very always surprising, seriously, of the way the drama is stated. You know, it's always very surprising to me. I would never ever guess. Of course, I can't say I would ever guess anybody's dream. You know, but anyway, it's very good. Say, Tim, do you happen to have your dream written down, the one that you were telling us earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you put it in the chat? We'll just keep moving here.
Okay.
But anyway, I'd like to maybe Roy too, see if Adelaide has any comments about anything too. But go ahead.
You got any comments, Adelaide? Huh? You got any comments on your dream? No, she said
Okay.
she doesn't. She thought
All right.
She understood it pretty good. We got it.
Great.
That's Adelaide.
I know. I got it. Okay. Well,
it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Tim, do you have it in text? If you don't, that's fine. You could just maybe tell us it again.
Yeah. I've got to fix some typos before I put it in, but I can.
Okay, sure. Well, just take your time. And Dawn, Now, Dawn, you owe us a dream. So even if it isn't a recent one, why don't you try to get us one for next time? And I just think, like in the case of Adelaide's dream, every time you get a dream, when I hear a dream of someone, I'm this person who happened to accidentally be born male, I always see this interesting little shift in perspective that that always fascinates me. But anyway, so, and Charles, if you have a dream too, are you going to leaving, Dawn? We'll see you later if you have to leave. Okay, but try to find some type of a dream. We're not quite done. I mean, we're gonna maybe listen to Tim's dream if he can. We got about 10 minutes left. If you want to just go over your dream, Tim, and at least we'll just kind of try to get the images. Well, the thing is, it's so important to find to record and consider the dreams after that last dream. Don't you think that dream was so central and everything, and yet I think it is more of a orienting dream. I think that the dreams that follow it absolutely need to be recorded and discussed. So, and the one dream that we had was about the very young feminine Asian, possibly, who offered us a drink. We don't accept it, so then she drinks it. And then finally we decide we're going to drink, but there's nothing left but bubbles. Is that kind of what it was, Tim?
Yes. Let me stick it in there.
Yeah, okay. Charles, didn't you have a dream? Did you want to discuss that other dream? Maybe you can put it in the text too, the one that we talked about. I talked with Charles last night, and I was so tired I couldn't. I was about ready to go to sleep. I have actually had discussions with Charles where I did fall asleep and I kept talking, even though I was asleep. That actually happened, didn't it, Charles? And then I suddenly discovered what I was saying was complete nonsense, and said, "What in the hell was that all about?"
Yeah, it confused me a little bit for a second. I was like,
Well, I started talking about somebody I'd talked about for 50 years, and I thought about for 50 years. But anyway.
Yeah, I was like, this is a really obscure reference here. I'm not sure how he's going to tie this back in.
Yeah, that was strange. Well, because I had fallen asleep, and but I was a trooper, and I just kept talking, and so I went to sleep.
Well, this is weird. I can't paste it in for some reason.
Okay, well, just email it to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I can read it to you if you want.
Okay, yeah. Why don't we do it? Read it and then email it to us.
Okay. This is kind of interesting that this is the same house that appeared in the dream last winter of coming down the mountain and ending up on the roof of John's house.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same guy. I go over early in the morning to John's to visit. It's dark and I open the door, poke my head in, but nobody's up. Going back outside, I say it's just better to wait outside and start walking around studying the yard and the landscape. But then suddenly the sprinklers come on. So now I'm forced to carry on down the street. So I go back to our house, which all of a sudden is really close. And I encounter there a young Chinese girl to whom I'm very attracted. I look at a news story about a visit with a family with 4 young boys and a dog, a German Shepherd who's very tender with the toddler, pulling him around the room with one paw as if it were a hand. I'm very impressed with the dog's sensitivity, that he exhibits with his paw as I exit with the girl and three siblings, three really young kids, all of them with bulbous glasses of a very colorful drinks. And they ask if I want one, and I decline as we go back to John's house, where now the door is open and the lights are on. We go in and stand in the living room. I'm surprised when a head pokes around the corner, it's an Oriental man. I guess this must be John. The kids slurp their drinks, and my girl says, "I'll be sorry I didn't get one." When it's almost gone, she offers me a taste of her lime green drink, which looks very sugary. It's almost all bubbles, so I can barely taste it. But I'm not very impressed with what I taste.
Now, could you show us that picture one more time of the bulbous drink?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. All right. So it is sort of almost like a lamp or a vase, you think? I mean, it's these round sort of compartments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all hollow, and the drink is, fills up the whole inside.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is one we're definitely going to have to go through first. Well, let's just go through for a little bit here. That it's this same house, John's house. Now, who's John again? Can you describe John?
He is a friend of maybe 30, 40 years. He and I, he's a member of my church, and he and I have a really good connection. We used to run this youth church camp together.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't live very far from you. He's
just
down the road.
End of the block.
Okay. And we go to his house. We knock on the door. He's not there. We stick our head in. He's no response. So we are outside and we're studying the landscape. Then suddenly the sprinklers turn on. So there's just all this. We can always just say there's something here that it's a little too wet, okay, for us. So we have to go back. John's house is a little bit too wet right now. Even the outside is a little too wet. And so we go back to the to our own house. And then there's these, there is a new story about what now? A news story.
About this family with 4 young boys and a dog, a German Shepherd.
Okay. Now, is that going to come up at all in the rest of the dream?
No.
Okay. It's 4 boys and a German Shepherd. Now, that will mean something. So we're going to hold on to that. Okay. But then then you, where did you meet again? My pen ran out of ink. The 3 siblings and the sister.
The Chinese girl was at my house. I think everybody was there.
Okay. And were these her siblings?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. And were they, do you know what gender they were?
It
Not
seems
necessarily.
like they were boys, but
3 boys and a girl, possibly.
yeah, and she's the oldest. She's probably a teenager.
Okay. All right. And so now there's some ritual aspect of these 3 drinking out of a very mysterious, almost magical vessel. And it's conceived of globes. So we're going to have to talk about what that means, and they're drinking something looks a little bit too sweet for ego consciousness, and it's sort of not green like a vegetable, but it's sort of almost as a pastel green or a very lime green. They call it lime, but it's not really the color of limes. sort of this yellowish green, right? Or is that what you mean?
Yeah, kind of a
Yeah.
saccharine.
Yeah, saccharine green, so it doesn't look very natural.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then we see John later. He possibly is now an Oriental man. So we have to figure out what being from the East means. Asia being from the Oriental lands, which are have a almost an inverted psyche to Western man. Where Western man has what Jung used to say is that we are masculine on the outside and feminine on the inside. He said in the Far East that they're feminine on the outside and masculine on the inside. So we'll have to discuss that a little bit. Well, anyway, if you can email it to us, I'll send it out to everybody. But those were all very wonderful dreams. And Dawn, I'm looking forward to your dream too. So we'll discuss these next time. But Tim, I think you had some type of a threshold crossing, and I'm thinking that the dreams that follow are going to have a different character, going forward. So we'll see. But that's why I think it's so important to record them. But
Yeah.
and Charles had we're going to want to watch Charles' dreams too as he approaches his next a very important moment in his karma, I think. So we'll see. Well, thank you, Roy and Adelaide, and
I got to throw in the thing about the tea. I mean, about the drink.
Oh,
I
yes,
don't know
yes.
if
Go
y'all
ahead.
heard of bubble tea. It's the biggest thing in Asia. They have bottles like that and for sale all over the place, and that's what they drink. It's kind of like their soda pop. It reminds me of bubble tea, and it's that color kind, and it's very sweet, and they love it.
Okay, so you know what they're drinking.
That's a good point.
I know what they're drinking. That's bubble tea if I ever heard it.
Huh.
Okay, great.
And
well,
you don't know this, but tea is like a bush. But when the leaves first come out and they're very small, they're the most valuable. I mean, if you have a bag of those little small leaves, tea leaves, you can just get you a big pinch of them, put them in your mouth, and they'll dissolve in your mouth like sugar. I mean, it's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
that tea's big over there. And the bubble tea, this is bubble tea.
Well, thank you. That's going to be very
Yeah,
helpful.
that helps a lot.
Oh, yeah. You got to get some of that, Tim. You want to get a swig of that. Good bubble tea.
Charles, did you have something to say?
Oh, no, I just like Roy's point on that. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
sure.
Roy, thank you.
Yeah, bubble tea.
Sorry, I was monopolizing. Well, anyway, Monday we'll get at Tim's dream, and then hopefully Dawn and Charles have something for us too.
Otherwise, I got one too. I'll send you one. I got one
Yeah.
last night. It was a doozy.
All right. Well,
Good enough.
beautiful. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you all next time then. Thank you,
All right, see
Dawn,
ya.
Tim, and Roy. Bye-bye.